off on the road to Morocco. Hang on till the end of the line.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Adrienne Berg, and this is The Ageless Traveler. And today, believe it or not, we're actually going to go somewhere. We're going to Morocco. We've had so many shows where we were talking about travel health and travel safety. Now we're actually going to travel. What do you think of that? And we're going to travel to such a wonderful place, a place I've been to many times, but not enough. So we're here with Semra Hunter, and she is one of the leading lights of Moroccan travel with Saharai. Isn't that beautiful? Just saying Saharai makes you feel like you're traveling somewhere. Talk about what it's like to travel now, the best itineraries for you, the culinary adventures you can have, and every other kind of adventure. So, Semra, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and for that really wonderful introduction.
Well, it's very accurate because Saharai has become one of the unique ways of seeing and planning your trip in Morocco. So let's start right away. I want you to picture an avatar, as they say. Perfect client that comes from our particular show, and that would be a person, a solo person or a couple, over 60, maybe over 55, could be up to 110, who's active, and really wants to see something new because they've been there before. And when they say, other people say Morocco, it sounds exotic to them. And they'll say, sure, I've been there 30 years ago, not a problem, right? So where would you go? Now, I'm going to posit a 2-week vacation, and you can just cover some of the cities and the main highlights that you would see and how you would get there, some of the transportation.
The reason I'm smiling is because I feel like you just perfectly described my parents. And this is exactly what we did over the holidays for Christmas and New Year's. We did a 2-week trip all across Morocco, even though they'd already been here before. We did it again, but we did it in a different way. This time I drove. So that certainly was an adventure in and of itself. There were many stories that came out of that experience, but my parents are in their early 70s. They're incredibly active. They love to travel. They have such an ambition to really get to see the world and to know the world in a different way. My dad is half Turkish, so we've been going to Turkey my entire life. We've traveled the world over many, many times throughout the years while I was growing up. They're very experienced, well-traveled people, which is why I think I've become who I have become, largely thanks to them. So if anything, I could model this around them. I think they're a perfect example of, I'm sure, what many of your audience is like as well. And they are really, what I love about them is that they're open to being curious and to trying new things. And I think when you come to Morocco, you need to have that. You need to be open-minded, willing to try new things, because everything is an adventure here. Even the most banal things like trying to buy something in the market, because you need to bargain. It's part of the culture. So you can have an adventure in almost any aspect of life here, whether it's trying the different types of food, whether it's negotiating and bartering in the market, whether it's even just talking to random people in the street. Moroccans love to talk to strangers all the time. Or if it's crossing the Atlas Mountains by mountain bike, or if it's crossing the dunes in the Sahara in Marzouga by buggy, by quad, by camel, by a sandboard, even by foot if you want. So I think the beauty of Morocco is that it does offer so many different ways to be adventurous, even on the coast. I think a lot of people forget where it actually is located. So it's kind of in the top left corner of Africa, if you will. And it's unique in that you have the Mediterranean coast, you have the Strait of Gibraltar. So Spain is directly opposite. You can see it. It's very close. And you have the Atlantic coast. A lot of people love to come to the Atlantic to surf or to kite surf or to windsurf. We have a lot of wind on that part of the country. And so a lot of people, especially Westerners, do tend to come to Morocco for that aspect of what it offers as well. You can horseback ride on the beach, which is a beautiful thing to do. You can ride camels on the beach. So you can mix and match different ways of enjoying these types of adventure components, if you will. You can ride buggies or quads as well on the beach. I mean, there's so many different ways to enjoy it. You have such a diverse type of topography and geography, from beaches to mountains to deserts to valleys to greenery to dryness, that it really is a place that offers something for everyone, I think.
Now let's talk about the sightseeing traveler, the one which is what I
Mm,
love also so much because all of that you mentioned is really part of adventure travel, and we love that. We
mm,
want to always infuse that, and I tell people of all ages they can be an adventurer.
mm,
Can.
mm,
And particularly in Morocco, when you have establishments, and I'm sure you use them, that have been around for so long.
mm.
There are people who have never been on a camel, making sure they know how to actually mount a camel, and because it's a little jolting at one time. Camels get up fast. They look slow,
Mm,
but they walk slow, but they get up fast. So
absolutely.
the second part, though, is there's a lot of history there, and
Mm.
confluence of a lot of history. So when you took your mom and dad around, which of the bigger cities or the tourist centers did you take them to, and what did they enjoy?
Well, Marrakech for me is number one. I adore this city. This is actually where I'm based. This is where I live with my Moroccan partner. And I just love the energy here. It's like something I've never experienced anywhere else, not even anywhere else in Morocco, I would say. They call it the Red City because of the color of the clay, the color of the paint that is used to, well, for the buildings in the Medina in particular. Obviously, it comes from the natural resources in the area. But the contrast of colors as well, when you have this sort of green oasis, you have the palm trees, you have the mountains in the background. In the winter, it's beautiful whenever they're snow capped. And I find you talk about history. Marrakesh has layer upon layer upon layer. I mean, it's so difficult to run out of ways to explore and to really get to know the Medina because it is just like this rich tapestry of history and depth. And every time I go in there, I find that I have a different experience. And it really is a bit overwhelming if you've never had that kind of experience before, because it's quite full on, it's intense, it's loud, it's noisy. The smells can be really consuming. They can be really good smells like spices. It can be not so good smells sometimes as well. But it is truly a unique experience. Fez is similar in that it's the oldest Medina, I think, in the world that is only accessible by foot. So there are no cars. You have people, you have carts, you have donkeys, the same in Marrakech.
Right.
So you do feel like it's a proper throwback to a completely different era and time. And Moroccan people as well, a lot of them still dress traditionally. So you do have that full authentic look and feel when you're walking around the streets, where you do kind of feel a bit displaced at times or misplaced. You're not really sure where you are or even what year you're in. And I personally really enjoy that experience. And my parents do as well, which is why I always highlight places like Marrakesh and Fez because of the history. Fez has the oldest university in the world that's still open. And I believe it was also founded by a woman, which is really interesting too. The different types of, they have different sections within the Medina as well. I mean, it's a complete labyrinth. You could get very lost very easily. It's advisable to always have a local guide with you to take you around, unless you want that sort of adventure as well. If you're quite happy to get lost in the labyrinth of it all, then go for it. But you have the tanneries, you have the ceramic shops, you have the all the different types of artisan craftsmanship that they do as well, and it's just beautiful. It's a feast for the eyes. So for me, those are the two top historical cities for sure. What I would say, and my mom loved this because she'd been begging me forever to take her to Rabat. Rabat is the capital of Morocco,
Right.
and it is the complete opposite. It is the antithesis to Fez and Marrakesh. It is an old city, but it's very different in that it's on the Atlantic coast. It's quite small. The king predominantly resides there, even though he has palaces all over the country. He can live wherever he wants at any point in time. But it's the opposite to all of the chaos of Fez and Marrakesh in that it's an incredibly organized city. It's unbelievably clean. It's beautifully structured. The infrastructure is brand new. I mean, you go to Rabat and you think you're in the future.
I've been to Marrakesh many times. I've had guides and I've done it
Mhm.
myself where I walked along. So the first thing to know is it doesn't look safe, but it is safe.
Yes,
Very important. It doesn't look safe, but it is safe. That's very important.
yes,
It's
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, it's also what Semra says. It's like a throwback in time. If you want to go to one place in the world that you can be safe and exotic at the same time, that's it. The bad part, there's two bad parts. One isn't so bad, and that is it's so much there that you really could miss things. Do not miss the artisans. You may end up in all of the stalls where you can buy some wonderful things, and you'll miss the artisans. You've got to see people by hand making leather, making ceramics, doing iron work. This is what
Yes.
you really want, and this is what you really want to buy. So make sure your guide takes you to that. It's the artisan section. The first time I came across it, I didn't know where I was going. It just appeared, and it was a great, great thrill. One of my great travel trips. The bad part that really is bad is that there is to me, and I'm going to say it out, an exploitation of children where there are people there in the Medina day and night, even late at night, with little kids on their lap, begging for money. The kids have learned to beg, and some of them even, they're sleeping too much. Children don't sleep that much. I don't like it, and I want it cleaned up.
Yes.
It's like saying, don't go to LA or don't go to New York because there are homeless people. Well, it's an issue everywhere in the world, but you will find it there. As a U.S. person who works with the UN, it's very, very difficult. It always tugs on me. What do you do? I have the same problem. My dentist is in Mexico, in Tijuana. I have the same problem I walk over the border.
Oh, wow.
So this isn't a new thing. So get used to it. Just expect it. Know it's there. Do not turn a blind eye to it. Help if you want to help. Don't if you don't. They tell you not to help. But this is a fraction of what's there. It's just that we are a very, very truthful group here. So expect it. Now, what you should also expect is that you have to bargain. I have got $100 of Moroccan tea that's probably worth $8 because no idea how to bargain. None. How do you do it? It's for me, I have to tell you, Semra, it's cringeworthy. But if you don't,
I know what you mean.
If you don't do it, not only do you overpay, but they don't even like it. They want you.
Yes.
They want you to bargain.
This is true. They actually feel
for some reason.
They feel it's almost an insult if you don't play that game with them.
I know. So what's the rules?
So here's the rules. Thankfully, I have a Moroccan at home who has taught me how to do this because I agree with you. When I first started coming here, the word was cringe. I felt deeply unsettled and uncomfortable. I didn't know how to do it. It was very obvious I didn't know how to do it. And let me put it to you this way. Shopkeepers are very savvy. They understand where people come from and they understand the type of economic availability that you have as well. So in other words, they know Americans usually have deeper pockets. They know that, certain nationalities play by certain rules and they will adjust the prices accordingly. So going as an American, let me tell you, they will put the price very high because they expect you to take it at face value. So what you have to do is, the rule is you basically always go a little bit lower than half of whatever they offer you. So let's say they start at 100. You go in pretty low. You go in at about 30, 35. And then eventually you'll kind of meet somewhere closer to 50, 55, maybe 60. You eventually do kind of get to the halfway point of whatever it is they've told you. But you want to go really low so you have that ability to move up.
Yes.
And meet really at the halfway point. And look, they do this with everyone. I mean, even with my partner, it's like we can go and negotiate and they will go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I mean, we could easily be there for about 20 minutes until they've settled. And they're both Moroccan, you know what I mean? So it's like, usually it's, do you want some tea? Sit down, get comfortable. You're going to be here for a while. So just go along and enjoy the ride, but be firm. Do not feel embarrassed or ashamed to be firm about the price that you want. The other advantage you have is most of the shops, for the most part, tend to have whatever it is that you're looking for or you're looking to buy. It's very rare that there are some boutique shops or specialty stores where you'll only find very particular items in that specific location. Otherwise, they know they have to compete with everybody else. So another tactic is to say, oh, well, I actually saw this same thing for this price down over there. And then you try to get them to meet you there so you don't walk away and go back to the other shop too. And walk away, act like you're disinterested, never seem as though you're too overeager or too excited about a product. And then usually they'll call you back and then eventually they'll meet you at a much lower price. So that's the game.
Yeah, I did notice that when I leave, they come running after me.
Yes.
It gets a little bit better. But you said
Yes.
very few boutique or specialty shops. Now, this brings me before our first break to the culinary scene. What should we look for in cuisine?
My favorite dish is pastilla, which is a very thin filo dough. For lack of a better term, it's like a pastry, like a round pastry, but usually it's stuffed with chicken, cinnamon, raisins, some chopped up walnuts. It's a sweet and savory mix. And on the top, they put a little bit of powdered sugar and cinnamon. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorite dishes. Highly recommend. They also have a seafood version, but my preference is the chicken. It goes without saying, couscous, you can get a vegetarian option, so you don't have to get chicken or meat because this is very much a meat country. But the couscous for me is also spectacular. You get it with all kinds of different vegetables that usually come on top. So you have carrots, you have zucchini, you have garbanzos, you have candied onions, potatoes usually. Everyone does it a little bit different, but that's kind of the basic. And then you have tagines. Yes. Which the beauty of a tagine is you can literally put anything you want in there and voila, that's it. So there's a lot of different types. The more traditional ones are like meatballs with tomato sauce, chicken with green olives and lemon. Then you have beef with prunes and almonds. There's tangia, which is a very specific type of tagine that is made only here in Marrakech. So if you're into meat, that's your thing. Personally, I don't really like it very much, but usually they put it like in a ceramic vase and then they cook it in the ground for a very long time. It's slow cooked. I mean, it is amazing. One of the things I actually recommend if you're walking around the Medina is to go to these communal kitchens. They're little hole-in-the-wall places, but it's fascinating to see how people actually do it. Like I say, they'll take these little ceramic vases, they'll stuff it with meats and spices and oils. They'll take it to the communal kitchen. They'll stick it in the ground, they'll leave it for 24 hours, and then they'll come back and pick it up the next day. And it's out of this world. So just from a cultural aspect, it's really fascinating to see that. But other things, I mean, I highly recommend trying street food. You have things like simon, which is like a flatbread, and then they make it right there on the spot. And you can put cheese in it. You can put honey in it. You can put amlou in it. That's almond paste that I was telling you about. You wrap it up. It costs $1 maybe, and honestly it's so delicious, absolutely delicious.
Street food is pretty good in terms of,
and it's safe,
yes, in Morocco,
for the most part.
This is interesting because it may not look safe. This is safer than some
yes
look great, they're not safe. This one
exactly.
I have to say, and I probably should look up the name for our show notes. I ate in the oldest restaurant in Morocco.
Oh, okay.
It took me a while to find it, let me tell you that much, because it's in the Medina, and I don't even know how I got out. But eat the cake. The cake was unbelievable. It was just regular almond paste on, let's say, a sponge cake.
Yes, okay, I know what you're talking about.
The other part for me, of course, is the tea. And not only is the tea delicious, but it's the way it's served. They put the teapot up in the air and then they pour. It's like a waterfall.
There's an art to it. There really is an art to it.
Yes, you can scold everybody at the table if you don't know what you're doing, but they know what they're doing. It's wonderful. Now we take a break. We're going to come back. I want to go and take a deeper dive into two other areas. One is Rabat, and the other is adventure travel. But I have to tell everybody that I was very remiss in introducing you to Semra. She's a travel blazer. Both Spanish, English is her language. Soccer journalist, sports commentator, and a recognizable voice in global football. In fact, I will also be, during the show, talking about the New World Cup and the African Cup and going to some of the places in the soccer world that I've enjoyed, even though I'm certainly not a soccer player. I didn't even grow up with soccer. But so we're talking about a real sports journalist here, turned tour advisor and tour operator. So you see, you can change. You can do a lot of things in life. It's so wonderful. We'll talk more about that. Don't you guys go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Road to Morocco, and somewhere I feel kind of numb.
If you've been thinking about a cruise, I've definitely got you covered with Cruises It. Now, we have just become affiliated with them. And who are they? Well, Cruises It is the top agency for all the main cruise lines and some of the less known cruise lines as well. Cruises It has access to booking space that's been open years in advance, so you can get the best cabins. That's just number one. But they also make the prices lower. The cruise lines give Cruises It their own exclusive agency discounts. And if you're not from the cruise line, they have their own agency discounts that would apply as well. So you get both any discounts you would normally get on the cruise line, plus additional discounts that are given exclusively to Cruises It because they bring in so much business. On top of all those discount perks, when you book with them, you get the best rate guaranteed. And this is because Cruise Fare Watch system takes place. Now, what Cruises It does is it tracks the pricing until the final payment date. So you keep in mind that to get the best rate guaranteed, you have to use my site. We have affiliated with them specifically. I sat down, I met with them in Tucson, Arizona. I met with Marianne Weather. We've now become good friends. She gave me a direct line. Not only a link, which you can certainly use right away, but if you have questions, even a specific phone number. Cruises It offers this not just to anyone that is one of our followers, but if you have friends and family, you can bring them in too. So just take a look at the show notes and you will see our dedicated phone line and our dedicated link. Happy sailing.
We're Morocco bound.
And now we're back. And we're here with Semra Hunter, and we have been enjoying the road to Morocco. Those of you who are kind of my age might remember Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and their road shows. We played a piece of the music at the top of the show. But we're really going to Morocco on this show. You mentioned Rabat. Gave us a really nice contrast between
Yes.
Rabat and, let's say, Marrakech and Fez. I've not been there. I'm a culture vulture, meaning I want to see the art. I want to hear the music. I want to go to museums. And it's a capital. So I want to see the politics. What do you do? Let's say a walking tour or driving tour for Rabat. What would be top sites?
The first thing I would recommend is driving, if you're coming from Casablanca, which is where most people come from, because that's the main port of entry, whether you come by plane or you come by boat. It's very close. It's about 45, 50 minutes to the north. So you can hop in a train or you can drive. It takes roughly the same amount of time to get to Rabat. If you have the opportunity, I would say drive in through the coast. It's quite lovely. There's like an old Portuguese fortress that has been converted into a museum. And it's very close to when you get to the old town. And the way that Rabat is actually kind of structured, so the mouth of the river comes out into the Atlantic. So the city is kind of divided into two, if you will, even though the other side is actually considered a completely separate city. But there's a fortified wall, there's a lot of ruins, there's an old Medina on that side as well. But I would say stick to the Rabat side of things. So there's the Kasbah of the Udayas. If you've ever been to Andalusia, if you've ever been to Granada in Spain, for example, it reminds you a lot of southern Spain. It's very similar in architecture. So you have the whitewashed walls. It's very likely to be Moorish. It's whitewashed walls with blue doors. It's beautiful. It's very clean. You go through, there's a little, some touristy shops here and there, but you get to the very end. It's a very small little place. You get to the very end and there's this beautiful overlook where you can see an old cemetery. You can see the Atlantic Ocean. You can see where the river opens up into the ocean. You can see far and beyond to the other side of the other city. And it's just very calm. Rabat is like a more relaxed version of Marrakech, I would say. And what I like about it is that it's still relatively under the radar. It's still a bit of a hidden gem most people don't come to. Rabat is very chill. It's very relaxed. It's much more local. It's much more authentic. You don't have nearly as much tourists. So people treat you a little bit differently. They're more relaxed in their approach of negotiating with you. There's also so many cool little hidden courtyards. So you have to keep an eye out for that as you're walking around. It looks nondescript, but then you realize you go inside and there's this whole courtyard area, this beautiful building that's been remodeled and redone. And there's all these lovely artisan shops and art stores and paintings and arts and crafts, anything that you want, fashion, clothes, all of that. So I would say you start with the Udayas, the Kasbah Udayas, then you kind of wander your way down through because it's on a bit of a hill. So you go through on the inside. One of my favorite stops is there's this little terrace that again overlooks the river on the other side. And it's all they serve is tea.
Yes, it's good enough.
And it's beautiful.
I'll
You
bring my
sit
own
there,
drink.
or you bring a prosecco. But you sit there, you have your tea. It's very peaceful. It's calm. You have really nice views of the upper parts of the Kasbah, and then you have the views of the river as well. And right behind the little tea house. And the nice thing is like Moroccans go. It's not just for tourists, you know. There's what they call the Andalus Gardens. Beautiful. You go in, it's quite small, but it's really well manicured. It's really well taken care of. They have different types of fruit trees. They have the little stray cats that are hanging out and sleeping and coming up to you and wanting a little bit of love and attention. It's just a lovely place to walk through. When you come out, you go down the hill and then you cross the street into the Medina itself. And there it's a free-for-all. Wander through it. It's not very big. So you can wander through it. It's very easy to get lost, so to speak. It's not as much of a labyrinth as Marrakech or Fez. It's actually much more structured with more kind of straight,
You can see
parallel lines. Yeah, it has more of a grid shape to it. It's much easier to maneuver and to handle as you're walking through. I find it very charming, very cute. Make sure you look up because there's so many balconies that are painted underneath and these beautiful buildings that you would miss if you didn't look up. So definitely look up. The woodwork is incredible. And I think you'll have a much better bargain in general if you want to buy something there. As you come out of the Medina, there's another stop, which is the Hassan II Tower. It was a mosque that was started 700 years ago, it never finished. But you have the minaret, which actually is what the Kutubia and Marrakech is modeled after. And if you've been to Spain, to Seville, that's what Giralda is also modeled after as well. So there's the connection between Spain and Lucia and all of that.
I'm very excited. And some of the things in my life I've gotten out of my system. One of the things I got out of my system was camel riding. I've managed to do that many, many times, although you can persuade me. But the second, but I think everybody should do that. And I also got out of my system dune buggy riding.
That is so fun.
Everybody's got to do it. So tell us about this adventure travel that you can do, and where is the best of it in Morocco?
The best of it, hands down, is in Merzouga, which is where the epic sand dunes are in Morocco. It's basically the only, I mean, there is another place. You have Zagora, you have other deserts as well, but the dunes aren't as big or as vast. Merzouga really is the place to go. And it is so much fun. I can't even begin to tell you. My partner literally came home the other day. He tried a brand new buggy and he said, "We're going to buy a buggy." I was like, "No, we're not." But I like where your head's at. It is so much fun. And we go all the time to visit his family. And we do it almost every time we go. And we never get tired of it. Because part of the beauty of going over the sand dunes in the buggy or in a quad, whatever you prefer, is you go to the top of the dunes, especially at sunset. You can have a nice picnic where you roll out literally a red carpet. You can have tea, you can have wine, you can have snacks, you can have Moroccan pastries, whatever you want. And you just watch the sunset. And it is such a beautiful experience. I actually did this with my parents whenever they were here in December. And they loved it. They had a really wonderful time. It was something we didn't do the last time they were here. So they were really happy that we did that. And it was probably the most enjoyable part of their trip. And they did the quads. And they did the buggies. They did it. And they did the camel rides too. And they were like, they would absolutely do it again.
People will look at the dune buggy rides and they'll say, "We can't do it." Now, don't listen to anybody. You can't.
Agreed.
Now, I'm taking a chance here. I do have neck problems. And they say, "Well, if you have neck problems, don't do it." The only thing that ever happened, and it didn't happen to us, is they paired us up with some very young people. And I had to chuckle, although it was kind of mean of me. My husband and I loved it. They had to slow down eventually. For them, for the 20, we're the 78-year-old. Yeah, this is great.
I love that. I love that.
And I
love that.
I thought, well, see, so it was a little mean of me, but okay. But really, it should not be missed. And that's good. You'll have a crick in your neck anyway, so you may. May as well.
You might as well do it. If anything, you'll probably get the crick of your neck out because you're moving around. But I tell you what, you also control the pace and the speed at which you're going. So
You don't have to be crazy like we were.
exactly.
Right.
And hiking as well. I completely forgot to mention hiking.
Sure, let's talk about that a little bit. That is something I have not done in Morocco.
There's all kinds of levels, from the most inexperienced basic to really high level professional adventure, proper mountaineering type hikes. I'm definitely not at that end of the spectrum.
Take another break. We come back, and I do want to talk about your other life because everybody is so interested in what's going on with the cup. And I do want to talk about what it's like. And I have to break the barrier saying that you are female and a sportscaster, and that in of itself is unique, even today. So don't you guys go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Road to Morocco. Look out, well, clear the way, 'cause here we come.
One of the things that you've told me over and over again is that your biggest barrier to travel is money. What else is new? Well, we have now affiliated and partnered with all the booking sites that you would be interested in. That's booking.com, that's hotels.com, that's Expedia, that's guides, get your guide, and of course, TripAdvisor, the big one. So if you are going to be booking, you're going to want to use the links that we provide for you because there are discounts there. There's also ease and convenience. It also does something for all of us. It is true, yes, I get a small donation in the event that you book through any of these sites, but I plow it right back in so that we can have more research, more clout in the world of anti-ageism and tourism, and get you even more discounts. So please use these because it'll be good for you, and it'll be good for your family, and it really puts a lot more money in your pocket and makes life easy. How do you do that? Well, you simply go to our discount page on agelesstraveler.com/discounts. You'll see that also in the show notes. So use it and never stop traveling.
We certainly do get around like a complete set of Shakespeare that you buy at the corner drugstore for $1.98. We're Morocco bound.
And we're back, and we're having so much fun here on the road to Morocco with Semra Hunter, Saharai, such a beautiful name of her tour company. And of course, as always, you're going to be able to find her. And as always, she is not a sponsor of this show. This is not a paid. I just am so excited to bring you the best of the best when it comes to travel. Okay, so now let us talk about some hidden gems of Morocco before we really turn away from that for a moment and talk about World Cup and what's going on there. Anything I'm missing? I hate to miss something. I like to go to oh, sure, I was there. So where should I go that I might not think of?
One of the places that immediately jumps to my mind is Asila. Asila is a very, very, very tiny beach town in between Rabat and Tangier. But the reason that it's famous is that artists basically took over the Medina and they've completely turned the city into its tapestry. So they use the walls of the buildings as a blank canvas, and every inch of the Medina practically is painted, but in a very modern way with contemporary art. And it's really, if you're into art, this is your place. It's very unique. It's very interesting. It's very small. You can very easily do it in a couple of hours, but it is a real feast for the eyes because everywhere you look, every single alleyway that you go down, I mean, it's just painted in the most elaborate way. And of course, there's art galleries that you can go to that you can visit as well. It's about an hour, hour and a half. So another hidden gem is Sakura Valley. So whenever you're driving from Marrakech, it's quite common to drive from Marrakech down to Marzouga. It's about a 9-hour drive. Usually you stop along the way, you go over the Atlas Mountains, you go to Ait Ben Haddou. Ait Ben Haddou is a UNESCO protected World Heritage Site, which honestly is sensational. I highly recommend it. Not a hidden gem, everyone knows about it, but it is well worth going. It's where Academy Award films such as Lawrence of Arabia, Gladiator, even Game of Thrones were filmed there. It's super interesting. But very close to there is Sakura Valley, which is basically this valley that has like 1,000 different kasbahs, which are these very old buildings built out of earth. essentially. Some are in ruin, some have been repaired. You can stay in some. It's just this beautiful oasis of palm tree after palm tree. I mean, date palms, of course. And it just goes on for miles and miles and miles. It looks like this green ribbon that kind of cuts through this brown desert. And on one side, you have the mountains. On the other side, you have the mountains. And it's really beautiful. And I think people who don't often have the opportunity to come and have time, I would say add a little bit of time, because it's well worth exploring a little bit of that area, or even just going and spending some time there to relax and treat yourself to a night of wellness or a spa or a hammam or whatever it is that you want to do. It's a really beautiful part of Morocco that I think is also often overlooked. Chefchaouen is more of an obvious one, which is the Blue Pearl in the Rif Mountains. It's another town that is painted completely blue, a very old town, but it's interesting. A lot of people love to go to take photos. If you're into photography, it is a fabulous place to go, because you can have so much fun with all of the different color tones and the palettes and the different shades of blue and the cats, and then the pop of color with the flowers and everything. So that's always nice.
You know, it is it's so exciting. It's a place that you can spend many, many, many weeks.
Oh, yes.
Like me, take bites of it, which is what I've been doing, take little bites of Morocco, so to speak, including the good food. Now, before we leave, I cannot leave without asking you a few World Cup questions. Let's just start very briefly with, this is something from your recent past. You're a sports journalist, and mostly with regard to football. So explain that to us.
So given that I was born and raised in California, I was always quite sporty. My dad was very athletic, and I'm an only child. And it was one of the ways that he and I bonded when I was growing up was through sport, watching and playing. And so I actually kicked a soccer ball the first time when I was about 3, and it was instant connection, instant love. And I knew that was my sport. So I grew up watching the English Premier League and watching the World Cups. And in 1999, when LA hosted the Women's World Cup final at the Rose Bowl, I actually attended the final. And so it has always had such an important impact on shaping who I am now. I actually wanted to be a professional soccer player. It didn't happen. So I just went to the next best thing, which was to talk about it. I was about 24. I was visiting my parents in California at the time. And I don't even remember how the conversation came up. But my mom said to me, you know what, you would make a great sideline reporter. You love to travel. You love sports. It's the perfect union. And I thought, eureka, like a light bulb moment. I couldn't believe I hadn't thought of that before. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mom. And that was it. I mean, she planted the seed, and then every day I just watered it and watered it and watered it until it grew into the garden that is now my career 14 years later. So I specialized in television as a television presenter, and I still do, actually. I'm still working in parallel, and I will be in the States. I'll be in New York for 6 weeks hosting the World Cup.
I was an accidental beneficiary of the World Cup. I happened to have been in Brazil, going to Argentina when the World Cup was on television in these open bars. And one of the great Prosecco drinkers of the world, they wanted me to stay at that bar. And I watched the World Cup. And I was surrounded by Brazilians, but hundreds of Brazilians. And there I was when they lost, and people were crying. The next day, I was in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. And this time, I got myself a seat, because this was the final.
Amazing.
They won. 2 million people came into the middle of the city. They won. They wrapped us, my husband and I, they knew the people next to us and behind us knew we were Americans. They wrapped us in the Argentinian flag.
I believe it.
The paper mache trophy, which they had hundreds of them, like, around us personally, to hold up, because they wanted to take pictures of Americans wrapped in the Argentinian flag, and we did it. Well, the hysteria, the joy, the crying, but this was crying for joy. Plus, I got
the euphoria.
The euphoria. I got to look at the faces of the people as it was going on. And if they were losing, it was so sad. Children. So this is a very emotional sport.
Yes.
And it's not my favorite sport. And the only reason it isn't, honestly, is it's taken away from baseball, which is the sport that I grew up. My grandkids, age 3 and 7, they all have soccer balls. They don't have baseballs. But we can't get a ticket. What's going on now with the World Cup?
I think what people have to understand, especially Americans, is that for most of the world outside of the United States, football transcends sport. It's a religion. People go to the stadium and it is the house of prayer, the house of worship. Most club teams in Europe have museums. Same in Latin America, same across Argentina, same across Brazil. It is so deeply entrenched in the fabric of society and culture in so many countries around the world. It explains why, when FIFA mentioned not too long ago, there were 500 million requests for tickets to the World Cup, which is mind-boggling. We're talking about people who will literally they will mortgage their house just to be able to go to a match at the World Cup, just to see their team and their country themselves represented at the world stage to compete against the best of the best. I mean, people will spend tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, just to be able to attend. And they will feel that it was worth every single penny, even if they lose. I mean, that is how important this is to people. And it truly is the world's game, the world sport. And it is something that is so transcendent that I think as Americans, it's really hard to relate to because we don't really have that. Not even with American football, not even with baseball, not even with basketball. There's really no kind of American sport that captures that same kind of essence or embodiment. Of course, people are sports fanatics in the States, but it's very different. It's lived and experienced in a very different way. So right now it's extremely complicated to get a ticket to the World Cup. Prices are outrageously high. I mean, we're talking thousands.
Right.
I will say FIFA are really taking advantage, and it really isn't very fair. And they're trying to keep it accessible to a certain class of society, which is not historically how the World Cup has been. It's always been
Just
the world's game, just the opposite. It's been a unifier.
That's one of the reasons people love it, because
absolutely,
I could go to favela in
yes,
which is the poorest parts, let's say, of South America, and I'll find people saying that they love the one thing in their life is soccer.
Oh yes,
and it's so accessible. So, all right, this may bite them, this may not, but as you say, you always have Fox Television, right?
Absolutely. You've got Fox. They're the ones who have the rights holders in the United States, and they are the rights holders, rather. And you just turn on Fox and you'll have it available on your screen.
And everybody will be watching. So, yeah, what's the effect on you? I mean, I am such an outsider to this, and I was totally caught up in it, even so, right? So what's the effect of you when you're actually reporting on this? Do you get as excited as people look on TV during the reporting?
I do. I do get swept up by World Cup mania, if you will. I love the World Cup. There's something very beautiful about it in the way that it brings people together from all corners of the earth. And I think Qatar, actually, the last World Cup in Doha, what was different about that World Cup is that it took place in one city. Normally, a host nation has it spread out across the country. But the whole world descended into one city. And you had fans from Saudi Arabia, from Argentina, from Spain, from France, from wherever, mingling and making friends with each other in the streets. And we're talking about people who don't even share the same language. They can't communicate, but somehow they find a way to communicate, and they communicate through football. And it's actually quite heartwarming. And I think it does restore a bit of faith in humanity to see those kinds of interactions, because you see the world is actually a much better place than we are told to believe, particularly right now. Yeah.
I think sport it does bring people together. I think that is a wonderful thing. And it's so interesting that it brings people together, even if they are on different teams. That's right. A great metaphor, that it unites people, even though they are on different teams. And there are people in this world, and we are on different teams, but travel unites us too. The hint and tip I want to give is that if you really want to see something great and you can't afford these tickets, and we probably can't, African Cup is coming up 2020.
Oh, yes.
And the African Cup will be East Africa. So it's going to be Uganda, it's going to be Kenya and Tanzania. I was in Uganda and I was watching them build their new stadium. That's how excited they are. It's finished now for this, and that's in Entebbe. So I'm planning to go to see that. That's
nice.
most likely, I can't promise, that will be an affordable ticket. But I will also say that we will combine that with a safari, a
amazing.
Kenyan safari. So it's very interesting. So if anybody's interested in that, you just have to go to our website, podcast, and you'll see Ask Adrian. And you'll also see our podcast with our Kenyan tour operator, Ronick Tours. His name is Derek. So you'll be able to go with us if you'd like to do that. And one day, maybe we will all go to Morocco. We'll go.
Yes, I would love that. I'd absolutely love that. Please, you're welcome anytime.
And it is a very welcoming country. So Semra Hunter, Saharai, beautiful name. I am so excited that we were able to cover this today and really open up our minds and our hearts to Morocco. And for everybody else, you know what I'm going to say. Please, please, it's a free subscription to Travel Tuesday. You simply go on agelesstraveler.com. You will see it in the show notes. If you want to ask Semra questions, she's very generous with her time. You'll see how to reach her in the show notes. And of course, in our newsletter, Travel Tuesday. Also join our Facebook salon. And my very favorite phrase I will end with, which is never stop traveling.
We're Morocco bound.